Imagine waking up to a view that only 12 humans in history have ever witnessed. You pull back the curtains, and instead of a city skyline or ocean waves, you're staring at Earth, a blue marble suspended in the infinite blackness of space. Sound like science fiction? Well, buckle up, because luxury hotels on the moon might be closer to reality than you think. In today's video, we're diving into one of the most ambitious tourism projects ever conceived: lunar hotels. We'll explore who's making this happen, how much it'll cost you, and whether you should start saving up for the ultimate vacation. This is space tourism taken to a whole new level. And trust me, you won't want to miss what's coming. Let's get into it. So here's the deal. A company called GRU Space has officially opened bookings for what they're calling the first ever lunar hotel experience. And no, this isn't some distant dream scheduled for the year 2100. They're talking about 2029 for the first landing missions, with multi-day hotel stays starting in 2032. That's less than a decade away. Now let me break down what they're actually offering, because this comes in stages. The first package is essentially a lunar flyby and landing mission scheduled for 2029. You don't get the hotel experience yet, but you do get to set foot on the moon. Think of it as the early adopter package for space tourism's most exclusive destination. Then comes the real game changer. By 2032, GRU Space plans to have a fully operational lunar hotel where guests can stay for multiple days. We're not talking about camping in a cramped capsule. They're promising actual hotel accommodations with amenities designed for extended stays on the lunar surface. But here's where it gets interesting. This isn't just some publicity stunt or vaporware announcement. Multiple space companies and organizations have been working on lunar infrastructure for years now. NASA's Artemis program is planning to establish a sustainable presence on the moon. Private companies like SpaceX are developing the heavy lift rockets needed to make regular lunar trips feasible. And now, hospitality companies are getting in on the action. The pieces are falling into place for what could genuinely be the next frontier in luxury tourism. But of course, there's one question on everyone's mind. How much does it cost to become one of the first lunar hotel guests? Well, I hope you've been saving. The deposit alone to secure your spot ranges from $250,000 to $1 million. That's roughly $215,000 to €859,000 just to hold your reservation. And that's just the down payment. According to various reports, the full price for the complete lunar hotel experience is estimated at around $10 million per person. Yes, you heard that right. $10 million. To put that in perspective, that's more than most people will earn in their entire lifetime. It's enough to buy multiple luxury mansions, a fleet of supercars, or even a small private island here on Earth. But here's the thing. For the ultra-wealthy, this isn't just about the money. It's about exclusivity. It's about being part of an incredibly small group of humans who can say they've stayed on another celestial body. When the first lunar hotel opens, we're talking about maybe a few dozen guests per year, maximum. This is exclusivity on a cosmic scale. Now you might be thinking, who would actually pay this? Well, space tourism has already proven there's a market. Companies like Blue Origin and Virgin Galactic have been selling suborbital flights for hundreds of thousands of dollars, and they've had no shortage of customers. SpaceX has sent private citizens to the International Space Station for tens of millions per seat. The market exists. It's just very, very exclusive. What's fascinating is how GRU Space is structuring this financially. By taking substantial deposits years in advance, they're essentially crowdfunding development through their earliest customers. These ultra-wealthy early adopters aren't just buying a vacation, they're investing in becoming part of space exploration history. And for some people, that's worth every penny. But let's be real for a moment. At these prices, this experience will remain out of reach for 99.9% of humanity for the foreseeable future. The question is, will prices eventually come down, like they have with air travel and other technologies? Or will lunar tourism remain permanently exclusive to billionaires and centimillionaires? Okay, so you've mortgaged your soul and somehow secured $10 million. What exactly are you getting for that astronomical price tag? Let's talk about the experience itself. First, there's the journey. Getting to the moon isn't like hopping on a commercial flight. We're talking about a multi-day journey through space aboard what will likely be a cutting-edge spacecraft. The trip itself will be part of the experience, traveling further from Earth than any tourist has gone before. Once you arrive at the lunar surface, you'll be transferred to the hotel facility. Now, details about the actual hotel design are still somewhat limited, but based on current proposals and concepts from various companies working on lunar infrastructure, we can make some educated guesses. The hotel will almost certainly be built using modular habitats. Think connected pods or cylinders that provide living space, dining areas, observation lounges, and private quarters. Everything will be designed to deal with the moon's unique challenges: no atmosphere, extreme temperature swings, reduced gravity, and constant radiation exposure. Speaking of reduced gravity, this is actually one of the most exciting aspects. The moon's gravity is about 1/6 of Earth's. That means you'll be able to move in ways that are impossible back home. Imagine jumping several meters in the air with minimal effort, or lifting objects that would be impossibly heavy on Earth. The hotel will likely include recreation areas specifically designed to take advantage of this. Then there's the view, and honestly, this might be worth the price of admission alone. Earth hanging in the black lunar sky, always in the same position because of the moon's tidally locked rotation. You'd be able to watch weather patterns move across continents, see city lights appear as Earth rotates, and witness your home planet from a perspective that fundamentally changes how you think about humanity's place in the universe. The hotel will also need to provide all life support: oxygen, water, food, waste management, power generation. This isn't a place where you can just step outside for fresh air or order delivery. Everything needs to be carefully managed and recycled. In fact, you'll likely be living in one of the most technologically advanced environments humans have ever created. There will probably be guided moonwalks included in your package. Imagine suiting up in a spacesuit and actually walking on the lunar surface, perhaps visiting historic Apollo landing sites or exploring lunar caves and lava tubes. These excursions will be carefully planned and supervised, but they'll offer experiences that are literally out of this world. And let's not forget the food. This won't be freeze-dried astronaut meals. Companies investing in space tourism understand that luxury travelers expect luxury dining. We're likely talking about specially prepared gourmet meals, possibly even with ingredients brought specifically for the hotel, or eventually grown in lunar greenhouses. Now, before we all start daydreaming about our lunar vacation, let's pump the brakes and talk about reality. Building and operating a hotel on the moon is arguably one of the most complex engineering challenges ever attempted, and there are some serious questions we need to address. First, safety. Space is incredibly hostile to human life. Radiation exposure on the moon is significantly higher than on Earth because there's no atmosphere or magnetic field to protect you. Long-term health effects are still not fully understood. Any hotel will need robust shielding and possibly underground or regolith-covered sections to protect guests. Second, the timeline. 2029 is only a few years away, and 2032 isn't much further. That's an incredibly ambitious schedule for something that's never been done before. For context, it took NASA over a decade to develop the Space Launch System for Artemis, and that's building on decades of existing technology. Can a private company really build, test, launch, and operate a lunar hotel in that time frame? Many experts are skeptical. Third, regulations and liability. Space law is still relatively undeveloped. Who's responsible if something goes wrong? What medical facilities will be available? What's the evacuation plan in an emergency? These aren't theoretical questions. They're life and death issues that need clear answers before tourists start boarding. And then there's the question of sustainability. Each launch to the moon requires enormous amounts of fuel and resources. The environmental impact of regular lunar tourism flights could be significant. Is this really how we want to use our technological capabilities? That said, I don't want to be entirely pessimistic. Humanity has accomplished incredible things when we set our minds to it. The Apollo program went from concept to lunar landing in less than a decade. SpaceX has revolutionized rocket technology in just 20 years. If there's sufficient investment and determination, a lunar hotel isn't impossible. It's just really, really hard. Here's what I find most interesting about this whole lunar hotel concept. It's not really about the hotel itself. It's about what it represents. If companies can figure out how to keep tourists alive and comfortable on the moon, that same technology and infrastructure can support scientists, researchers, and, eventually, permanent settlers. The hotel is just the first step toward a much larger goal: establishing a permanent human presence beyond Earth. Think about it. Someone needs to build the landing pads, power systems, life support infrastructure, and transportation networks. Someone needs to test long-duration habitats and figure out lunar construction techniques. Why not let wealthy tourists fund that development? Their $10 million vacations could subsidize the research and technology that eventually makes space accessible to everyone. This is similar to how early aviation developed. The first flights were expensive novelties for the rich, but that funding helped develop the technology that eventually gave us affordable commercial air travel. Could lunar tourism follow the same path? We're also seeing a shift in how humanity thinks about space. For decades, space exploration was the exclusive domain of government agencies. Now private companies are taking the lead, and they're thinking about space not just as a place to visit, but as a place to live and work. The Lunar Hotel is part of that transition. So will you be booking a room at the Lunar Hotel? For most of us, probably not anytime soon. But the fact that we're even having this conversation, that companies are seriously planning and taking deposits for lunar vacations, tells us something important. Space is no longer the final frontier. It's becoming the next frontier. Whether GRU Space delivers on their 2032 timeline or not, the momentum is building. Lunar tourism is coming. The question isn't if, but when. And while the first guests will be billionaires, history suggests that today's impossibly expensive luxury eventually becomes tomorrow's affordable adventure. Thanks so much for watching. If you want to stay updated on the latest developments in space tourism and everything happening beyond our atmosphere, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. Space is moving fast, and you won't want to miss what comes next. I'll see you in the next video, and who knows, maybe one day we'll see each other on the moon.